actually first auditioned for the show back in 2023. I was in for initially Roxy. They kind of switched things around. They were like, if you're in for either Roxy or Velma, you're also being looked at as ensemble understudy or like ensemble cover the track. So the first year, I kind of was more seen as like ensemble cover, and I was in for literally every single female track that you can imagine in the show. I read for both Roxy, Velma, and to cover Mama, and I also read for like the Cell Block Girls. I didn't end up getting it the first year, and I was definitely like, oh man, that was like what, July, August of 2023. Then in May of 2024, they started putting out tapes again. So I was like, you know what, like I feel like I made it. Obviously, I'm right for the show, so like I'm gonna try again. So I tried again, and I made it to an in-person for Roxy. So after the first day, it was like I was reading and I sang, and then they're like, "Do you know all that jazz?" And I was like, "Of course." So I sang all that jazz, and they're like, "Can you stand outside and wait?" And I was like, "Of course." And then they came outside and they were like, "So we're also looking at you for Velma Kelly." So I was one of the only girls who was seen for both Roxy and Velma the second day. So I was doing a lot of double duty. It'd be like we'd learn one dance number for Roxy. They'd be like, okay, wait outside for a second. They'd bring the Velmas and I'd come back right in and learn all the Velma stuff. It was honestly so much fun getting to like wear both hats and like get to bring my own self into both characters. And so I definitely felt like more drawn to Roxy just because I mean that's been a dream role of mine since I was definitely like 15 or 16. I was like, I want to be Roxy Hart. And like you grow up with the movie, like all my whole life I've grown up with the movie and like all the music and everything. And I come from a theatrical family. So a few days later I got the call that I booked Roxy, and I was like, is this real? Like the turnaround time was literally 4 days, not even, it was like a Thursday. I found out the following Tuesday. So it was like, which is like the best case scenario, obviously. Like, because sometimes you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and they don't get to casting until like even a month after or something. So I was like, oh my God, like I was, oh my God, beside myself. I was so happy. And the first year we rehearsed for 3 weeks. And then this past year, because it's my second year on tour, I kind of have a lot of new people that we needed to like rehearse into the show. So there were 7 of us that were returning from my first year. The rehearsal process was a little bit shorter because I think there was a good amount of us that were there that were like returning so that we could like also be some foundation. Going into the second year, I was like, I'm really excited to just continue to explore. I had really no expectation as to what that looked like. They really wanted me to grow in the role. They didn't just be like, okay, just do your thing, which I was really appreciative of because I felt like, I mean, obviously they're such caring people and they're just like the best. They're awesome. The creative team is just so awesome. I definitely like mesh with them very well. I really adore them, every single person. I definitely felt the growth from the second rehearsal process, and it was definitely needed, especially with, I have 2 new counterparts, like Velma and Billy. Both of them were new. So it was really awesome. I hit my 300th performance like about a month ago. You have to stay present to keep it fresh. And so and the audience deserves the presence. The audience deserves to keep it fresh. Even if I'm having a hard day on tour, like, because just things happen and things are so out of you really learn on the road how to be so out of control and just let things go, because so many things, just so many factors come into play and things can just mess up your day. Like your DoorDash didn't come on time and so you're late for bus call, and just little things like that will eventually pile up. If I'm having like a funky day, I always like to think about whose birthday it is in the audience. Like I'm like, who purchased a ticket to see Chicago for their birthday? I was that person. Like I was that person who wanted to see a show on my birthday, and like they deserve a great show, obviously. Yeah, I like to think about that. I love the show. I could write a dissertation on this show. I just think it is incredibly smart. And I think at the end of the day, what this show does is it highlights our society and our tendency to flock to the bright, shiny thing and to flock to something exciting that's happening, whether it is good or bad. It's just something exciting. And whether it is the truth or if it's, fabricated, people love something to flock to, and people love to gossip about things. People, it's just our in our human nature. And I think this show does such a good job of displaying how the media circuits work and how like our modern day society works and how it has worked, because this story is one that is like over 100 years old. You know, like we're based off of real life people from the 20s. Like our characters are, not me, obviously, our characters. The staging, if the choreography, if the music doesn't entice you alone, the story definitely will. And it just works so well because it is such a mirror to the audience. And I think the way that it is staged has that aspect of the, you know, the lust and the seduction and making it look hot and making it look like it feels good to be bad, you know, like that. People love that feeling too. That's just like the perfect mix of all of those things on stage in 2.5 hours. So our show is actually and ranking in the style of Bob Fosse. And I think what both she and he both do really well is that they bring such a human quality to their movement and to their intentions behind the movement. And they're so smart with pairing it with what's going on in the show and with what objective they want to come across. It's such good storytelling. It's supposed to be smaller. Like you're supposed to come across smaller. They don't want it too big. They don't want an extra flourish. Gregory Butler, who's our choreographer, he always says, don't put a hat on a hat. He's like, just do it. Trust me, just do it. It's going to feel against like what you know about theater. Like I feel like theater, you're always told be bigger and then we'll bring it down. This is kind of like the opposite a little bit, where they're like, be a little more, let us come to you, not come to us. And the movement is human, so there's anybody can connect to it. It's like there's certain styles where you know, your feet are turned in and you're just like a little more like shoulders are shrugged, you know, like that kind of style like is so human and pedestrian almost in a way. That layer adds to the whole picture, if that makes sense. The whole, it adds to the whole cake. I think it has to be in Me and My Baby. I love Me and My Baby so much. And Hot Honey are both like just so it's their, I just think they're rock star numbers. I think they're so awesome and I love getting to perform them every night. Oh my gosh. Me and My Baby, I definitely think there's an 8. This is where I feel like I can like fully just like, because it's after there's 2 verses I sing in Me and My Baby, and then I have a chunk where I just dance. So I kind of get to live a little more and not focus on what I'm saying as well as what I'm doing. I can just like dance and be free. There's a part where we just do these internal like fan kicks into like a layout, and it is my favorite part. I loved getting to do that. Hot Honey is the only number in our show that is actually Bob Fosse's choreography. That's in rankings. So I just think that's such a cool little fun fact, and it's just so cool to like, obviously it's grown and it's evolved as the years and it's shifted in certain ways and with different eyes being on it, but it's still at the root the same. I love Cell Block Tango. That's probably my favorite that I don't get to perform or get to be a part of. I wish Roxy was in that one so bad, because that one is so fun and it's just like perfect little tableaus, and it's like it showcases all of the girls. Like I just think it's such a woman like power number. What I like about the show is that it passes the Bechdel test, and it doesn't, you're not trying to win over, women aren't trying to win over men, they're actually murdering them. Which is like obviously an extreme, the opposite, like the extreme opposite. I just think it's so empowering, and I think it's so, I bet they feel so fierce every night. And it's just obviously one of those, like the second that Tim, who's our Fred Casely, he announces, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the 6 Merry Murderesses, people go crazy. They know the song, and it's just like, that's such a cool thing to be a part of, to be like, you know, hear them go wild for it. My family and I took a trip in 2010, I think, and we saw both Mary Poppins and Shrek the Musical. And that was a very big, actually, turning point for me because specifically Shrek the Musical, I saw Sutton Foster. I just saw how unique her character was, and I felt like I resonated with her being a little more quirky. She's still beautiful and she's still a prince. I was like, oh, you can be a princess and you can also be extremely funny, and it can also like make silly faces, and you don't have to be prim and proper. And like, I just loved the way she told the story, and I just thought she was so funny, and I just definitely saw myself in her. And so that was like a big turning point that I was like, I want to pursue this. Like, I remember being so young, but I was like, I'm gonna do that when I'm older. Like, I was like, I want to be a performer. Like, I just knew it in my bones. It brings these shows to demographics and certain groups of people who maybe aren't able to fly to New York at the drop of the hat just to go see a show that they want to see. It's bringing it to them. It's like making Broadway accessible. And I think that that's just such a beautiful thing. And we hit so many towns that are smaller towns too. And I think it's special because I know that if I were a kid who loved theater and we had a one-nighter in Blacksburg, Virginia on Monday. Like, I know that like if I lived there and I was like, oh my God, Chicago's coming here, like, I'm going, I'm not missing that. It just, when you're like, I can't go to New York, or you're, and you're a young person and your family can't afford it. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes it accessible. And I think that that's such a brilliant system that they've put into place. And I think it's really awesome.